Live. Yes, we're live. Hello, this is Karen Miner Heard. And when you can't sleep, it's torture. When the alarm goes off after a bad night or no sleep or disrupted sleep, do you dread the day, feeling like you're exhausted and you're already in a fog? And what do you do next? And the Bible says that God gives to his beloved even in their sleep. But when you're exhausted, because sleep did not come, and it's hard to come by because of stress, anxiety, hormonal health, or the challenges of neurodiversity, whatever it is, you feel like your body's working against you. And, promises like the one I just mentioned, you really wonder, where are they? Because when sleep is hard to come by, and I can really relate to that because of much of my life due to PTSD, nightmares, being neurospicy, allergies, and then perimenopause, sleep was not easy for me, and I resisted it because it was like, what's the point? Now I can go to sleep fairly easily, and most nights sleep 7 hours. So in the next 3 episodes of Divine Healthy Living, we're talking about all things sleep, some of what I've learned, how to do it, how to sleep well, and surprising things that interfere with sleep, and how to get the sleep you need, even during perimenopause or times of stress. Now, when I started working on putting this podcast together, I realized there was so much to share that rather than creating just this monster long epic episode, I'm breaking it down into 3 shorter ones. So this episode is on sleep schedule and sleep hygiene, which just means doing the things you need to improve better sleep. We'll do the next episode will be on perimenopause and postmenopause and sleep. And then the third episode will be on EMF, radiation, and other environmental factors for sleep. So this episode, we're talking about laying a good foundation for sleep no matter what is going on. Now, I'm doing this live and it's not pre-recorded. Now, if you're picking this up on Spotify or through your podcast player, I have edited out the ers and ums and the things like that, but it is not pre-recorded and there is no AI. So are you ready? Let's go. Make sure you're subscribed so that you get every episode. And if you're following on YouTube, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you know about all the updates as they're coming. And please share Divine Healthy Living with the people in your life who want to live in wholeness, joy, and good health without fads or extreme diets or weird, wacky ideas or unbiblical ideas. And please share with me your feedback, how it's helping, what you'd like to learn about, because this podcast is here to serve you. My name is Karen Miner Heard, and I'm your host of Divine Healthy Living. This podcast is a production of WomanWize, and at WomanWize, we equip, activate, and unleash the natural skills and talents in women to prosper their families and impact their world, because we believe health and well-being is foundational to life, and that God wants each of us to live in his shalom. And shalom means peace and wholeness in every area of life. And we work through network marketing because we believe it is the most family-friendly and profitable way to do business for the average person. If you're not an entrepreneur, network marketing could learn to become one. And if you are an entrepreneur, network marketing allows you to do it in a way without a lot of the downsides that can come with entrepreneurship. And we are partnered with an established legacy company that has been producing clinically proven, cutting edge wellness products for over 75 years. So, a shalom, what does it mean? It is the abundant, holistic peace and well being from the Lord. Now, this feels like a million miles away, when you can't sleep. And according to the Cleveland Clinic, sleep is one of the most complex and not well understood processes in the body. But we all know what it's like. And here's the crazy thing. I mean, when you think about what is the goal, for example, of exercise? Well, a lot of people would say weight loss or energy, or they would, all kinds of things. Or what is the goal of eating better? Well, so I have energy and, and I'm healthy and I don't get sick. What is the goal of sleep? Have you thought about what is the goal of sleep? Well, there is actually a goal. And the goal of sleep is to wake up naturally without an alarm, feeling refreshed with healthy energy. That's what we're looking for. And 98% of us don't meet that goal. So you were created to live in harmony with God, with others, and yourself. And one aspect of that harmony is your body clock. Now, your sleep is regulated by your body clock, aka, or also known as your circadian rhythm. But in turn, your body's regulatory processes, like if I use some big words, don't drop me a comment to say, Adam, what was that? Because you're not the only one that wants to know. Your endocrine system, that's your metabolism, that's your thyroid and things that work with weight and energy. Your reproductive cycle, that goes along with making babies or having a menstrual cycle if you're a female. It's what most people, when people talk about their hormones being out of balance, that's usually what they're referring to. Your central nervous system, which is your brain and all of that kind of thing. And they all feed back into your circadian rhythm or your body clock. Now, this is super cool. Your body clock has been working 24/7 since sperm met egg and you are conceived. That spark of life began with you, and it will work 24/7 until the day you wake up. Oh, there's Jesus, right? That's when. So it's really pretty amazing when you think about it. Your body clock never rests, even when you do. So, and it impacts every cell in your body is experiencing the effects, and everything your body experiences affects your circadian rhythm. So like a lot of your body, there's what they might call a feedback loop. So when it's out of whack, or you have a disorder, or the sleep disruption will create a cascade of other health issues, and some of them can be life-threatening. So one of the first places, though, to begin was, where do I start? I mean, if you're like me, before I really dealt with a lot of the brain health issues and the neurodivergence in my life, I didn't even know I was neurodivergent, right? Which is true for a lot of women till later in life, till usually perimenopause. And I was just all over the place. And so I would do what a lot of people do, right? What do I need? I need this. I'd go do it, and it worked, or it didn't work. Most times it didn't work, because our body is a mosaic, is a picture made of many pieces. And that's what we are. We're a mosaic. We're a picture made of many pieces. So one of the first, where do you start? Well, one of the places to start with good sleep is actually with a sleep schedule. And that may feel really unnatural at first. And depending on, and if you're neurodivergent, or you're really in the throes of perimenopause, menopause, you're like, well, that's the last thing I need. But the reason why I recommend it is it's a foundation. And the other thing is, a sleep schedule is going to help you identify problems that are affecting your sleep that you might not have seen otherwise. So there's a lot of good reasons to do it. And the sleep schedule is kind of like a checklist. So all of my checklist people just went, woohoo, right? But in fact, if you want a healthcare provider, if you're coming to a healthcare provider with sleep, a good one won't just throw a prescription at you. They'll actually start talking to you about your sleep schedule and what's something called your sleep hygiene, which is has to do with the habits and the environment that you sleep in, right? That's where they're going to start with. So we all know, though, what it feels like. So let's go opposite. What does it feel like when we don't have a sleep schedule? Ever had a newborn? Yeah. There's no sleep schedule. They'll tell you, and I've advised new mamas this: sleep when the baby sleeps, because I don't have a newborn anymore. But you, right? But you can't. You can't. When the baby's sleeping, you're like, I got to get stuff done. So mamas are sleep deprived. New mamas are sleep deprived. And if you've ever worked shift work, right? We've maybe the afternoon shift, which you go to work at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you get off at like midnight or 1 in the morning. That's kind of a weird schedule. Or you work nights, right? You're in the military. You can have very disruptive sleep, especially on deployment. So we all know what it's like to not have a sleep schedule, and we can feel disoriented. It can actually make us crazy. I mean, think about it. Lack of sleep is used as sleep torture. I mean, it's used as sleep torture because it'll drive you crazy. So it's a big deal. Getting good sleep is a big deal. And if you're feeling exhausted, right, you go online, you go to Instagram or TikTok or your favorite search engine. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to turn off my phone. Let me just, I told you this was live and not AI. All right. Phone is silenced now, so we're good. Back to you. So social media is we're going to go on social media. We're going to look for that stuff. This is the one thing you need to do. The one thing nobody's talking about. The one thing, because we love that. We are all looking for that one thing. And we try that. And maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. And we go looking again. And why didn't it work? Because that one thing may have actually been the very last thing that person did. It was important, but it was not the only thing. And they needed all of it, because our body is a mosaic. It is a compilation of a lot of things, right? So that's what we want to work with. So, but this is why I'm such a strong advocate of building 7 healthy habits first. They lay a foundation and they will help you get healthier overall. Your body is a symphony. It's an orchestra. It's not a machine. We just like swap parts, right? So there are supplements that you can use in your stage of life. And I use supplements sometimes to help me sleep. Your stage of life, your stress levels, your diet, your lifestyle, your EMF exposure are all going to impact your sleep. But rather than going after this one thing and trying it for a night or two and then moving on to something else, by the way, which increases your frustration because you didn't get your problem solved. And maybe depending on the one thing you tried, you spend some money, right? And then you get into the discouragement, all that jazz. How many of you can tell just from my description, I've walked that road? Are you walking that road? Are you walking that road? We're going to get you off onto a better path. How about that? Once you have these health habits in place, you're actually going to be able to tweak them so that they work better for you. And you're going to be feeding new information into your body clock or your circadian rhythm and those processes, right? You're going to start putting good information into that feedback loop. And these habits are going to bring your body clock and your circadian rhythm back into rhythm. Because modern life, let's face it, modern life does not support the circadian rhythm at all, right? Electric lights, our lights are on till what time of day? We turn them on super early. It didn't used to happen. So I think that's also been like a sleep challenge. That's episode 3, I believe. So anyway, the hydration, let's start with hydration. Hydration is really key. You can go a few minutes without air. You can go a couple of weeks. You can go several weeks without food, but you can only go 3 days without water. So because your body is like 70, 80% water, depending on who you're reading. So you want to drink half your body weight in water. But if that feels like a lot to you, start with no less than 5 cups of water, not herbal tea, not liquids, water. Only water is water. It can be seltzer water, unflavored, the natural. They don't have chemicals in it. It can be club soda. It can be the sparkling waters, but water, just water. And at least 5 cups a day. That's 40 ounces. More is better, but that's your absolute minimum. Clean eating. What does that mean? That's a whole episode, right? That's a whole lifestyle. But if it's new to you or you're like, what's the checklist for that? So for my checklist people, that means low sugar, low added sugar. That's 25 or 20. It's better. Less of added grams of sugar. Low alcohol. Excuse me. Alcohol is a body disruptor. It's a metabolism killer. It's a sleep disruptor. So low to no alcohol. High in vegetables. That means more than 5 servings. Think about 5 1-cup servings a day. And you're about getting there. High protein. Probably at least 70 to 80 grams of protein a day. More, excuse me, more if you're very active. You want whole grains, not the super processed grains. And you want to eliminate ultra processed foods. Those are the foods that don't go bad no matter what. That's about 80% of your grocery store. And yes, you can find ultra processed foods on the outside of the aisles, right? That cookie dough, the pre-made cookie dough, it's ultra processed. So ultra processed foods is a real huge metabolism disruptor. It's not healthy for you on a lot of levels. No, eating it once is not going to hurt you necessarily, but there's a lot of it in our diets. So clean eating means no ultra processed foods. You also want to watch caffeine. That's obvious, right? But it's not, because we have a very caffeinated society. Green tea caffeine is easier on your body than coffee caffeine. And but you really want to try to not drink any after 3 o'clock. The other thing I want to tell you is if you're caffeine sensitive, you're already watching it because you know how badly it can affect you. Caffeine is not bad. It's not bad. It's actually moderation. It's quite healthy. But we really want to, if you're sleep disrupted, this is part of your checklist. And caffeinated energy drinks are a no-go, a not ever. A heart attack maker, a blood sugar diabetes maker. Those caffeinated energy drinks are really, really the opposite of healthy. They're seriously very bad for you. So those are a no-go. Take those off your list right now. Yay, you just made a huge step forward in your health. All right, we talk about resting and stopping the world. You need to stop, interrupt the world at least a couple times a day. 5 minutes a day, at least twice a day. I understand. I've been in places in my life where that was not going to happen, but you need to do it. And if you can do it 15, 20 minutes twice a day, bonus points. You can multitask on this one, but stopping the world means you're not, scrolling your phone. It means the phone is in another room. It's in the car. It means you're walking outside, preferably at noon. And if you're living in a type of climate where you can walk barefoot, or it's summertime, you can get outside, get your feet exposed to the earth, right? But you want to just decompress and interrupt all the inputs. We were not designed for inputs 24/7. We were not. So if you want to sleep better, you need to manage your stress. Don't stress out about that, but you need to manage your stress. And one of the ways to do that is to intercept all the inputs. So at least twice a day for at least 5 minutes, stop the world. No inputs, no music, just walk and be quiet and decompress. All right. Sometimes for mamas, I know that's in the bathroom with little sticking their hands under the door. Where are you? I know. Sometimes it's a little hard. Exercising daily is best. It circulates nutrients and oxygen to your body. Cancer hates oxygen, by the way. It gets happy endorphins going, right? That battles stress. It helps your brain process information. That's why you'll see people say, oh, I started working out and it's easier to do work. It's because it helps your brain process information and it reduces stress. So exercise is the big deal. Lessens the tension in your body, your spiritual health. So how can being in closer relationship with God not help? I understand not everybody, you might be in a different place in your walk with God. You might be in a questioning place. It's okay. It's all right. But as you work to get into a better relationship with him, you will sleep better. Taking your vitamins. I'm a huge proponent of supplements. They changed my life. It's a good foundation with a multivitamin and a protein as a minimum, because a good quality or absorbed multivitamin that's made from natural whole food sources. There, okay, we did that. Provides essential trace minerals that help regulate the enzymes, the metabolism, and other processes in your body. For example, if you aren't getting enough vitamin D, you're having difficulty making melatonin. So if you take a melatonin supplement, then your body doesn't need to make it. Never try not to do anything that your body has to stop its job. Okay, that's really not good for you. But that's just one example. Now, if you're saying, oh, well, I'm not sleeping well, I need more melatonin, I'll go buy vitamin D. That's not bad, but it's not best, right? It's chasing after that one thing instead of putting your body into place to make sure that you're getting a good foundation. Now, if you're not sure, I don't know where to start, it's confusing. I got 20 bottles of stuff and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I've got on my website it's a free assessment, and it'll help you with your lifestyle. You can take your lifestyle into account, your health status. If you've got anything like cholesterol numbers or whatever, you can input that, your waist circumference, all of that stuff. And this is really an amazing thing. There's like 10 million possible combinations. It'll create a supplement regimen for you, and then you can adjust it according to your budget. And then what's really cool is if you get it, it will actually create for you. It'll print out for you. I'm doing this live. There we go. It'll print out for you a packet and tell you exactly why it chose those things for you and why you're taking them. So you know exactly what you're taking and why. There's even your name on a packet. It's really, really cool, personalized nutrition. So I've got a link. You can, if you're listening to me on the WomanWize Health Facebook page, just send a message. I'll get you that link. All right. If not, I'll drop it in the show notes for you. And if you want a free consultation with me about, was this right? I'm not sure. What should I do? Then absolutely. There's a little place where it says share your results with Karen. Just check that. And then we'll set up a time and have a chat. So prioritizing sleep is the last of the foundational habits. So I'm just going to recap real quick. Hydration, clean eating, no caffeine after 3 o'clock, resting, decompressing, stopping the world a couple times a day for a few minutes at least, exercising, your spiritual health, taking your vitamins, prioritizing sleep and good sleep hygiene. Hygiene referencing the environment that you sleep in. We need to signal to our bodies, it's time for bed. All right. By the way, it works for kids and grown-ups. Good hygiene means low, no noise. I understand that some people sleep better with a little bit of a white fan or a noise like that. That's fine, but you don't want a lot of noise, right? You want it to be dark. You want it to be slightly cool. Your actual body actually prefers it cooler in the winter in our house at 65, sometimes cooler, right? It's actually better to bundle up under a lot of blankets than to have a super warm room. And if you can, try not to make your bedroom your TV room or your workspace. I understand if you're living in a small space, you might not have a choice about that, but you want to put something, some kind of a divider, even throwing a sheet over it so you can't see it, right? So let's talk a little bit more, do a deeper dive into circadian rhythm and sleep, because that sleep schedule that I just referenced and sleep hygiene is one of the pillars of good sleep. And your mind and your body benefits from a schedule. It doesn't have to be rigid. I don't know if you're like me. I was like schedule resistant. I'm like, I'm not gonna be one of those rigid people. It's 2 minutes after my schedule, I can't do if I can't function. And I'm not mocking that, because I know that there are some folks that they're very rigid, and that's just kind of how their brain works. So it's okay. We all have our different styles, but it does need to be regular as much as possible. And one of the benefits, and this is for all my neurodivergent community, is that things become automatic for you. You don't have to decide what to do, because you kind of know what's next, and it becomes a little bit automated. It also brings an order and a sense of calm and rhythm to life. If you're looking at it, I'm looking at a lot of different things in our culture, and I'm seeing people wanting to return back to older ways because they had a rhythm that kind of described life. Now, if you have young children living with you, they are going to benefit greatly from a schedule. Now, they're going to fight it. I don't want to go to bed, right? They're going to test the boundaries. They're going to fight it. You're talking to somebody who used to fight it as an adult. But y'all know the benefit of a schedule. If you ever gone to school or you work in a place where your lunch is the same time every day, did you ever notice that about 30 minutes or so before lunch, your body's already getting hungry? It's not naturally hungry at that time. It adapted to the schedule, and you started to train it. Your cells are listening, and your cells have a memory. So sleep can work just like this. And if you've struggled with insomnia or you're in post menopause, you're neurodivergent, sleep disruptions are common, but a schedule is going to get you closer to discovering precise solutions. So I don't want you to get discouraged if you're doing the schedule. It's been 2 weeks, I'm not getting anywhere. Well, we've got that piece down. Now we know that the schedule's not the problem. Now we go to the next thing. Does that make sense? Okay. Now this is coming from someone, like I said, I was sleep and schedule resistant, and I'm going to recommend some basic sleep hygiene that you're going to follow to the best of your ability, and pay attention to what works for you. That's the first thing. So what works for me might not always work for you. But the other thing to remember is what you do during the day affects how you sleep at night. One of the things I've learned, if I didn't, for example, give myself any kind of a decompression time, and yes, when I was homeschooling 5 kids and running a business, and I was very engaged in some civic issues, I mean, it was just, I did not get any decompression time. I would go to bed at night, and my brain would say, well, now that we're here, we're going to have a meeting. And I would do that decompressing in bed for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I wouldn't get to sleep. And so I'm trying to sleep in bed, and it would just be really, really frustrating. And I don't know if you can relate to that or not. But what you do during the day affects your sleep at night. So one of the things you can do to tell your body, we're going to be sleeping later tonight, is to go outside, especially around noon. That's usually the peak of the sun in your time zone. And even if it's not sunny, go outside, and your eyes will start taking in, right? I have to, just so, and if you can expose your arms and your legs, maybe it's warmer, you live in that type of a climate, as much as you can do that. If it's rainy, even if you don't mind going out in the rain, even that'll help. But that starts basically signaling your body clock. The other thing is to create a bedtime routine that you like. It doesn't have to, it can be as precise and as many steps or as few steps as you want. It doesn't matter, but it just needs to be an established order of things that happens. All right. And it signals your body's sleep is coming. Now your cells are listening, and something as simple as getting your PJs on or your sleep clothes, whatever you like to sleep in, and washing your face are a signal. Now I know sometimes people sleep in their their gym clothes. Sometimes they'll go to sleep in their workout clothes. And if you can do that, that's fine, because they don't want, working out's important. And if they sleep in their workout clothes, they wake up going, well, this is what I'm doing. If you can do that, I couldn't, because my body's like, oh, I guess we're going to be getting up. So that didn't work for me. It works for others. That's what I mean. Do what works for you. But I started getting into my PJs an hour before bed. Now, that was brand new to me. I know, I'm a grown up. I'm over 60. Just learning how to do that. But it was really important, because my brain was starting to say, oh, we're going to be sleeping soon. And it would start doing the decompressing now, instead of tossing and turning in bed, right? Now, a glass of wine might help you sleep, except that it won't help you stay asleep. And you see how I'm holding my cup, those of you that are watching me on YouTube or the video on Spotify. I loved the big glasses with the stem and the big, the big feeling. And that would signal to me, day is over, I'm off duty. But the problem was it interrupted my sleep. So I learned to do a cup of herbal tea. I got a cup that was round, because I love that feeling. I even did the wine glass with water in it. So whatever it takes, that was part of my bedtime, we're shutting off routine. All right. So herbal teas, be aware that some herbal teas are blended with black tea or green tea. They're healthy. They're not bad. They just have caffeine in them. So if you're going to do an herbal tea, you want to make sure it does not have any caffeine or anything in it. Sometimes it can have something like 5-HTP, which is a compound that helps your brain. Some people's brains don't do so good with it. Others, it's fantastic. Something like saffron can help some people calm down. So you can find it, and I'm happy to advise you. Just reach out to me through my website. And believe it or not, if you're a dairy milk drinker, yep, warm milk works. If you like dairy and you can drink it, a mug of warm milk works. You can put some vanilla or almond flavoring in it if you don't like the taste of regular milk. Hot cocoa can be nice, but there's caffeine in the cocoa, and it depends on and then there's sugar. And so, but that nightly cup of something is another signal bedtime's coming. Journal on paper, doing a brain dump can be really helpful. Reading a paper book, devotional, and I said paper because of what's emanating from our screens at night. Now, let me ask you this. The Bible talks about our hearts instructing us at night. So what's the meditation of your heart at night? And that could be dreams, middle of the night prayer. Sometimes God does wake us up to pray. Now, if you're going through a really hard time in your life, you've got some really big thing happening that you're trying to work through, whether it's a job thing or a relationship thing. So maybe it's something about money. Maybe you're concerned about the country you live in, and you're one of those that pays attention to those kinds of things and interrupts your sleep. This is where your relationship with God really kicks in. Sometimes I haven't been able to sleep until I've interceded. I think is that how you say it? Until I've prayed. And really prayed and felt like I was done with the Lord. And then I would literally go right to sleep and be asleep in like a minute. The Bible says to be angry, but do not sin, and do not go to bed angry. Now, some people take that very, very literally, and sometimes you can, right? But other times, especially if you're going through a big thing, maybe you're going through a divorce or something that's hard and long and protracted, and you can't get to that place where you just, it's like insult after insult to your brain and your heart and your soul, and you're trying to work through that, and you can't get to that not angry place immediately. So long as you're working on it before the Lord, say, Father, I don't know how to handle this anger. I just experienced that recently, and I journaled to get it out and got to a place, and it took some time. Right? I didn't sleep as much that night, but I slept more restfully when I did sleep, and then caught right back up the next day. So try to live in a state where you're making amends where you can, where you're keeping short accounts with people. You don't hold bitterness or unforgiveness in your heart. They'll keep you awake at night. And the Lord wants to help you work through those. And this is not about denial. This is not about not recognizing or dealing with serious issues. It's just those things really do interrupt our sleep. They create anxiety. They create bitterness. So whatever you're doing to actively work on that before the Lord, I would do it. All right. And then so you can live in a state of forgiveness and release. Some people find it helpful to write their plans out for the next day at night. Sometimes I've done that. That's been part of my brain dump. All these things I couldn't remember. I was afraid I wouldn't remember when I woke up. So I wrote them down, put them on the kitchen counter, not next to my bed, and then went right to sleep. So if you have to do that, that's great. If you do that and that's anxiety creating, then don't do it. This goes in the category of what works for you. I would really recommend stretching, not active exercise at night, because that can sometimes wake you up because it's very energizing. But the stretching, Pilates is good. Sometimes if you look at those exercise cool downs, that'll work. Eccentrics is something. It's a ballet and Tai Chi and a whole bunch of movement, and especially releasing the shoulders and your neck. Stretching releases the tension in your muscles, so it really works. Turn down the lights. Really, really simple. My husband went and installed a dimmer on our bedroom light. So you can do that. That's kind of a cool idea. But start turning off your lights. I know we have a lot of LEDs right now, and there's some concern about how helpful they are. And maybe you're one of those that you prefer to use candles, real candles, just to make sure you put them out before you go to sleep at night. But whatever it takes to signal a relaxation, even if it's just a few minutes, all right? And do try to stop your work activity an hour before bed. This depends on your need to decompress. Sometimes I've needed to get a thing done because I knew I would stay up if I couldn't get something done. Other times I've stopped an hour before bed, or my brain was going to have a meeting with me. I don't know if you can relate to that or not. Don't sleep with the phone next to your bed. It actually emits EMF and some other radiation, plus the blue light that disrupts melatonin production in your body and can really interfere with sleep. Now, I know some of you guys are using the sleep apps on here, or maybe you're using, your health watch or Ring or something. I would really strongly recommend looking into that and seeing whether or not there's another way to measure your sleep. Probably how you wake up would be good. If you're using your phone as an alarm, there's some really cool alarm clocks now that actually mimic sunlight in the morning. And my daughter got one, and she found that it really helped her to sleep better. She was able to get, she found it easier to wake up. I hate my alarm. I absolutely hate it. I hate the sound. I wake up, what the heck is that? I'm one of those, if I had a firearm by my bedside, I'd probably shoot my alarm in the morning because I can't stand it. So I'm getting one of those sleep clocks that look like the sun alarm. But anyway, we'll talk more about EMF in another episode, but use something other than your phone as an alarm clock. And some people are actually going back to the old-fashioned winding clocks. They're very sensitive to some of the frequencies and radiation that's emitted from a phone. So you might want to think about doing that, whatever it takes. But this is kind of cool. If you go to bed early enough, you might be able to wake up without an alarm. That's a good goal, and still get to work on time, or still start your day on time. Wow, think about that. So I want to thank you for joining with me. And bad sleep habits can take some time to overcome. They absolutely can, but you can do it. I feel like I did. God wants you to sleep well. He gives to his beloved, even in sleep. So you can be confident that good sleep is in his will for you, even if you're struggling right now for how to get there. So you might need, if you need any help with sleeping or getting a good foundation to help you sleep and feel energized, please feel free to connect with me. You can find me on Instagram at WomanWize, and that's WomanWize. There's a Z in WomanWize, right? So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, either from my profile, Karen Miner Hurd, or WomanWize Health page. On YouTube, WomanWize Health. Through my website, WomanWize.com. And while you're there, sign up for the free memory guide to memory and focus, and get all of my weekly updates too. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on my Facebook page, please give it a like or a heart. I'd love a heart. Thank you. That'd be fabulous. Drop a comment, though, and let me know what helped. Because, again, I want this podcast to serve you. And what are you doing? What has really helped you to sleep better? So thank you again for listening to another episode of Divine Healthy Living. Thank you for being a champion for your own wellness and the well-being of others. God has the best plan for your health and your life. Go forth in his shalom, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.